This show is sponsored by my new business, MA Capital. I had success in my previous business acquiring companies before I exited earlier in the year. MA Capital is set up to support business owners on that journey, whether they want to sell now or they want to set up for a profitable exit later in the future. If this has piqued your interest and you'd like to work with me, head over to macapital.co.uk. So today we've got on the podcast someone who started his journey in debt, broke, in his in-laws' house. He's now living in his dream house, driving his dream car with his 3 beautiful children and fiancée. He's working with some of the biggest brands in the UK with his marketing agency, CB Social. Cal, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Like
what
that?
An intro.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good, that. It's better than I would have done.
Yeah, just introduce yourself a little bit, Cal, and tell us what you're up to now. Guys, just a quick one. Over 75% of our listeners aren't subscribed. So if you are enjoying this, please show some support by liking, commenting or subscribing wherever you're watching the podcast. It'll allow us to keep getting on amazing guests and it's massively appreciated. Back to the show.
Yeah, so I'm Cal. Our agency is called CB Social and we do paid social advertising. So anyone who's got something to sell online, we advertise it for them. And yeah, live in Middlesbrough with the family, 3 kids, a dog.
I don't know how you do it, mate.
I don't either. I don't.
Unreal.
People ask all the time and I don't have the answer for them.
Yeah.
Which is a shame.
One of them things like you just have to, I guess.
I think it's like business, you just wing it.
Yeah.
And like obviously over time it gets easier.
So tell me how it all started, mate, because I know you've got a very interesting story.
Yeah. I mean, if you go like right back to the start, obviously I used to live in TS1 and like anyone who doesn't like know that from outside of Middlesbrough, it's like basically rougher than rough in it really. So it was right next to like Parliament Road basically. But I'm still thankful for that upbringing because it's like you get streetwise, don't you? And I think I carry a lot of that with me even today now. And you can go back to them areas and you can feel safe, But I grew up there, so in terms of like money and not just money, but like opportunities and stuff like that, far and few between. There wasn't a lot going on, especially as kids. And obviously the sector and work and stuff, it was very industrialised, isn't it? It's very like, go and work offshore, go and do this, go and do that, Sort of bounced from job to job at the beginning, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I started off doing a bit of Google advertising after college, when I went to Middlesbrough College, left before I finished year 2. So I spent 2 years there for NAFL, because then I left a few weeks before finishing to do an apprenticeship. Did that, got sacked at the end because I wasn't very good. But it was all part of the process of finding out. Then I moved on to doing like sportswear design and designed some mad stuff, to be fair. Like designed some stuff for like England Rugby League, Hartlepool's football kit that we designed one year as well, which was quite good for like my age. I was a kid, Good bit of experience, got made redundant there as well, so I wasn't off to a good start here. And then I went to an agency based around here doing social media marketing. It's also how I met my now fiancée, Beth. And it was all a bit of a whirlwind from there, really. I spent 2 years there. We ended up getting together. Within under a year, we were expecting our first kid, Archie, who's now 5.
5, wow.
Yeah, but at the time, that was just mental. It felt like, your world was just crashing down. Because I think with your first kid, even if you plan it, it's such a massive change. And obviously, we weren't planning on having a kid that fast. So for me, I was like, I've messed up here royally. Like, admittedly, I think that's the way you think at first, isn't it? But in all honesty, that then spurred me on to think, right, I've got a skill here. I know I can make businesses money by advertising on Facebook and Instagram and whatnot. Built up some good experience working with bigger brands at that agency and thought, I'll just take this with me and I'll just have a crack at it on my own. And Beth supported me and her family supported the idea as well. They were a bit like worried, obviously, because for some reason I decided to put my notice in a few days before my paternity leave started, which is just the total, like on paper, if you were going to plan it out, you wouldn't do it then. And I don't know why I did to this day. Like, I don't know why someone didn't stop me, but I think that's, again, played part in the journey.
Because you didn't have no option to make it
there's
work.
no option for failure, like absolutely no room for it. So I think that's probably where the drive came initially. because in the first year of business, it was tough. I was on a salary of 20 grand a year at that agency, and in my first year of business, I made 15 grand turnover as well. So that's not profit. So it was like a bit of a realization of, shit, I've really messed up here. Can I swear?
Yeah.
You can bleep it out if you want, like,
No.
but I think it'll help the flow. So I thought, right, I've really messed up here. Like, this isn't working. But I think that drive has come from that thing of like, I can't let this not work. I can't go back to working in a job and watching all the old people that I used to work with, whether they did or didn't support me, watch me go back into another role. And I was like, it's not for me. I wanted to sort of become like unemployable. Do you know what I mean? And then in year 2, we did 99k turnover. So it's quite a jump up from year 1. It's like night and day. And like, you know, like tips or like, you know, when you try and give someone some advice on that, and I can't piece it together because it's just grit and like determination, you know.
Consistency, keep showing up, keep getting better.
Yeah.
It's like the iceberg, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
People only see the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, exactly. People will see like me shouting about that at the end of the year, but they won't see all the stuff that happened in year 1. And a lot of the stuff that I did in year 1 probably accumulated to helping us get to that point in year 2.
I think in your first year, you're figuring out like your offer, like what's your offer? Does it actually work? Does it actually make sense to be running with the offer? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I think correct me if I'm wrong, but when you first started, you were doing more broad SMMA.
Yeah.
And now you're niching down to paid ads for e-com.
Yeah. Yeah, at the start, it was anything we could get our hands on, like anything social media related. If you wanted to post something, we'd charge peanuts for the service, like 300 quid a month. Just figuring out, what the offering was, what am I going to charge for it, and more importantly, how am I going to sell it as well. So there was a point.
That is the big advice there, isn't it? You know, like niching down is very important. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I spent a lot of year 1 in my in-laws' conservatory, just cold calling, like hundreds of people, and getting nowhere with it because that wasn't. I think sales is a skill. Yeah. And you've got to have a really strong like mindset to get through a lot of doors closing in your face, and like I got through it, but it wasn't for me. No, it's not your thing, and you just don't know how to sell. But at that point, like I said, in year 1, I would have tried anything to make it work. So I've tried all sorts.
Can you remember your pitch?
I can't remember. I think I watched a few videos that were like, you know, those ones where they're a bit of a play on it. It's like, oh, I'm going to sell you something. I'm going to be straight up with you. You know, give me 30 seconds or whatever. I think I just change it all the time. I'd do that one, then I'd do another one which was a bit slower. I'd introduce myself first. Sometimes I'd just go straight in for it. I don't know what I was doing. I was just picking up little bits and just testing it, but it didn't work.
So, but why marketing in the first place? When did you realise you had an interest or a skill in that?
So I think what I realised throughout all my jobs is there was one skill that I enjoyed doing, which was design, and that went through all of them, like through the Google stuff, the sportswear apparel design, and then obviously at the other agency that I was at as well, it all included design. So for me, I was like, I need something with that design element, and that's when social media marketing, it kind of combines like performance and data and money spend and what you're returning versus with like design as well. Mm-hmm. So it was a perfect combination.
Can you sort of hang your hat on one sort of breakthrough moment within that first year or two where you think, oh God, this is working now?
Yeah, I have a sheet of every month. Like I've got a Google sheet, and it's got every single month of like what clients I had. And I slightly changed my strategy at one point and started going for consultants who were working with businesses that at some point we're going to need to bring someone in to do the business's marketing, if that makes sense. And that way it was an easier sell. Because what I struggled with was getting people, you know, like off the street to come and join us. Instead, if it came through a recommendation, I realised it was a lot easier. So I did that, but then, and I think that was a moment when I opened the sheet and I thought, bloody hell, we've got a few clients here. We're doing about, 3.7k a month. This is crazy. And at the start, before I started, me and Beth, we used to chat in the car and stuff. I don't know if you remember doing this when you were younger. I can't even imagine doing this now. It's like sitting in the car, like just chatting. Yeah. Like you'd be parked up somewhere random. I'd love to be able to do that now. I'd love to have the time to do that. But in those chats, you know, we'd be like, oh, we just need 10 clients paying us 300 quid a month. That's 3K a month. We'll be set. We won't need any more than that. And then I looked at that sheet and I was like, bloody hell, 3.7K. This is could do a bit more here. Like, I think that was that was in year 2. That was one of them breakthrough moments.
Nice.
Yeah.
Were there any particular clients that you landed? You were like, oh my God, I can't. Because obviously I know we'll get into some of the brands that you're working with now. How many years have you been into it now?
It's 5 years now.
So it's 5 years now.
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
It's gone fast, hasn't it?
Yeah, flew by.
Yeah. So let's say within them first 2 years, were there any brands that you were working with then, or you were just like, I found an offer and I found like a bit of momentum here?
Yeah, do you know what? All the ones we started working with were fairly small fry, to be honest. Like, but I think back then, probably felt the same way I do now about the bigger brands we work with, because it was such a momentous win. Like having that and proving that, oh my God, I can sell stuff here and I can do it, and they're happy. Like, it was a massive win. So all of them were in their own way, but there was a couple of standout brands that we got to work with through consultants that I was thinking, bloody hell, we shouldn't be working on this. They should have like an internal team. And that was TrueText was one of them, which is like they're like one of the UK's biggest schoolwear distributors, you know, like a proper random one.
Yeah.
But in terms of a business size, pretty substantial. And there was another one as well, like a knitwear one called Gobi. It was like cashmere stuff, but they're like, again, a huge global brand that I was just thinking, why am I working on these? Like, what's going on?
Yeah. Why did you even want your own business in the first place?
I think people like shy away from it sometimes about like the whole money side of it. But like that was one of the key drivers straight away was more money. I wanted to make more money for the family. I wanted us to be comfortable. And you know, I'm not hugely materialistic, but there is a few things that I like. Obviously, I love my cars and stuff, and that was part of like almost a vision board in my mind. And starting a business was, for me, the only way that was going to unlock all that stuff.
What about like the routine of, because I just didn't like spending time with people who I didn't necessarily want to be around, you know, in a job.
Yeah.
You know, you're in the office and you're like, well, I used to feel like I don't, like, you just do my head, like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like having to make like the small talk and sort of be nice and stuff like that. I was like, oh, I just didn't feel like a man, I guess. I don't know.
I think like obviously there was a few times we butted heads with people that we worked with at the last agency that I worked at, and I think that's totally natural. Do you know what I mean? And that was probably one of the drivers that was to push me away and say, right, well, I'm just going to do this on my own. But I think like the most part was the outside factors. It was almost that vision of like what could be, but the only way I could see me getting to that point is having a business. Like,
Yeah.
I couldn't see myself getting there quick enough in the job that I was in. Yeah.
Did you look at like, you know, when you set out to do like go into agencies, did you like, right, I want to be a managing, I want to be a marketing manager, or did you set your sights on that to begin with, and then you started working and you were like, oh, actually, it's not as nice as I actually thought it was? Because the reason I asked is obviously I did my accountancy qualification, and then, you know, when you get put into an organisation and you see the finance managers like unhappy and like not driving like the car that you want, you think, oh God, am I actually going to be waiting another 15 years to get in that seat?
Yeah.
And like not even be there. So that I think that was the point for me. Did you have a similar?
Yeah, I think so. It was like I looked at sort of, I think I looked at the way the agencies kind of work, and think with a lot of agencies it's based on like relationships as well. So I think looking at the timeline of getting to the point where I'd want to be and what I would get for that just didn't make sense for me personally.
Yeah.
I think I worked my way up like one position, so I became like a senior and got a little bit of a pay rise, which felt nice, but I think it was quickly over that happy period, and I was just back to like, great, still here, still doing the same stuff, not really that happy.
Would you class yourself as a marketer now, or what would you class yourself as?
Yeah, I'd say I'm a marketer before anything. Like,
how do you become a good marketer?
I think there's a few ways, really. I think my thing at the minute that I'm pushing a lot is like human psychology. So like in marketing, doesn't matter what type of marketing you do, whether it's social media, email, Google, whatever, like you are trying to get a human to do something. Do you know what I mean? And I think psychology is one of the most important factors in a lot of just everything in marketing. You know, when you see when they make all the Christmas TV ads, they do that because they want to make people feel a certain way, which gets them attached to their brand. That's psychology. If you want to hand leaflets out and you're a car valeter and you want to get more like customers, there's a psychological process that person's going to go through. Are they going to switch from their usual car valeter to you? Do you know, this sort of stuff? So I think every marketer should try and learn a little bit more about that. How to like convince people, how to talk to people, how to weigh up people's options and stuff, you know.
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that answer, because I think for me, I really like marketing, and yeah, that's what it is for me as well. But it's, so were you taught that at uni? Did you figure that out when, at college, or did you figure that out when you had your own business, or is that something that you've self-taught?
Kind of just self-taught. I think I've watched a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I've listened to a couple of audio books as well. And it's the common theme that I think a lot of people seem to skip over. You can be like the best video content creator in the world. You can create the best looking designs for ads or emails or anything, but like you need to be able to convince somebody to do something. And there's got to be little psychological cues within a design or within a video or something like that that make people do something.
Yeah.
So that's what it all boils down to, really.
Yeah, 100%. Is there certain people that you watch, like Alex Hormozy or other influencers like that?
Yeah, I have watched Alex Hormozy before. I've watched a few of his things. I've watched like quite a lot of the time. I get like random reels. I think I've kind of curated my feed, you know, like as I scroll.
Yeah.
So I get a lot of stuff that talks about like, yeah, like psychology behind like marketing, but also life as well. Just about like certain things and how you should handle things, or the best way to handle something. I can't remember his second name now, but there's a guy who works at a marketing agency called Ogilvy. He's called James, I think. I don't know, I've forgot his name, but he's really, really good. He was the one who broke down the whole thing about like, a great example is, you know, Uber.
Yeah.
Like taxis. They didn't change how fast taxis came to you. They just changed the fact that you can see they're on the way, which is a lot more reassuring than you ringing on the phone and hoping that it's coming.
Yeah.
So they didn't change anything. They just give you a different visibility on the process. And he sort of broke that down, and like he's got a load of great examples like that.
I think Rory Sutherland talks about that as well.
That's it. It's not James. It's Rory Sutherland.
It's Rory Sutherland.
I don't know where James came from.
The example with the London to Paris train as well, that's class. So it's like, how do we improve satisfaction on that? It's not actually by making it go faster, it's just by like employing models, or you know, just making the journey more enjoyable.
Yeah, that's it. And I think it makes you like rethink things, because I think a lot of people are quick to like, you know, they try and reinvent the wheel, you know. They're like, we need to come up with something brand new, we need to do this, we need to do that. And it's like, actually, what could we do here just to make this a little bit better? And it's the same with marketing, you know. You might have a great design, but what can we do to make this like sell a bit better, or speak to that customer a bit more, and kind of connect with them?
Have you read the book Epic Content Marketing?
No.
Such a good book. It basically says, well, this is the big thing I took out of that when I was starting my business to get customers, is like, no one's actually bothered about you. Yeah. It's like, no one gives a shit about how good you are, you know, what you can do. It's all about in it for them. So you need to frame your copy, or, you know, your script to be like, what are you actually going to get? What's the reader or the listener actually going to get out of it? Yeah.
I think there's a section of that in How to Win Friends and Influence People. And that talks a lot about what do they want first and foremost before you. And it could be as little as like you looking into their interests. We did it before with an agency that we wanted to work with. One of their chiefs that I had a chat with, I had a call with him. Call went really well, but I knew he was having calls with other people about using us for like some white labeling work. He's like an adventurer. He goes like surfing. He goes for morning swims and stuff. He's absolutely class. And I thought, you know what, he'd really appreciate one of those Yeti flasks. And I just thought, you know what, I'll buy one and I'll just send him it. And that sort of piqued his interest. He thanked me. He ended up posting about it on LinkedIn and stuff, sort of saying thank you. And that was like, everyone's kind of got the foot crept in the door. I managed to kind of put, you know, the whole shoe in there by doing something like that. So I think, yeah, I know it's a bit of a play, it's a bit of a move, but it's also a bit of an appreciation thing. And again, like you said, that thing of kind of putting their needs first foremost. Yeah, really
It's
interesting.
a big one, isn't it? I think when you become a business owner, you realise, like, how do I get customers? And then when you do some marketing, you think, oh, I provide this service, I provide that service, and it's really good. And and you don't get any customers. You're like, shit, what have I got to do now? Then you have to just really start understanding what the human psychology element behind it.
Yeah, it's like when we're talking to business owners as well, that's something that we're like looking at as well. And in our deck, in our proposal, it's like we say we don't create ads, we create content that converts profitably. And that one liner there is like everything they need to hear.
Yeah.
In that we create the content, it converts, and it converts profitably. That's all they care
That's all
about as
I
a
wanna
business.
know,
Yeah.
You could say we create X amount of packages, and
Yeah.
we make really nice
100 ads a
videos,
month.
and we use this software, and we've really invested in this software.
Yeah.
But not all that's just like,
They use all the buzzwords
Over
and
the
stuff
head,
to
yeah.
make themselves sound thinking. It's like as if I put myself in their shoes, and if I had a business selling something, I'm like, if I put my money into you, I'm going to get a lot more out of it. And I don't care what you do because you're the expert. Crack on. So we really like consolidated a lot of the stuff in the deck. It's like proper, just easy one-liners, easy to digest, very visual, stuff like that.
So going into year 3 of the business, was that when the bigger brands started knocking on the door, or was it?
Yeah, we had a few ones. They were kind of like the hidden, what I like to call, like the silent beasts of the world, where they're not necessarily like household names, a lot of them, but they're like multi-million-pound turnover brands that are just operating. A lot of people will have shopped from them, but they're not like a household name brand. So, people probably don't know about them, but they're big brands to be able to trust us with that marketing piece. They've got big budgets as well. But yeah, from probably like year 3 and 4, that's when bigger ones started coming on. And we started around that point as well. We did some work for one of the local Labour candidates. So we were managing like Labour Party ad spend, which was quite funny. I don't really have a political stance, in all honesty, so I'm not going to get into that. But
Definitely wouldn't be Labour.
yeah, definitely. But it's a nice little logo to have on there. Do you know what I mean? It's just a shame that they didn't win, isn't it? Really, because then that would have been a good case study.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure how good that would be for us as a business there. Thermos flasks as well, which are like stocked in every blooming supermarket. You'll find them in loads of homes. So it's just like things like that just come along, and the fact that we've played a part in their journey is pretty.
And like
pretty
mallet
crazy.
and things like that. But how do those brands like even choose a small agency from the other part of the country? Like, what's been the secret to that success?
Do you know, like usually I would have said cost, but our costs are pretty high now. Like
Good.
our costs probably match like a London agency for a lot of things, I think. And the other thing that stands out, I think, is like the sort of relationship you build with them, but what you sell into them as well. So it comes back down to that thing of just keeping it simple and what's in their best interest. Because the thing is that, like I've learned over time, is that they're not going to be excited to collaborate with us. I'm excited to collaborate with them because that's a big brand. They don't care about shouting about my agency, do you know what I mean? Because they're already huge. So to win them, we need to obviously hone in on what they want out of this, which again, for all the businesses we work with, is more profitable revenue, more new customers. So that's how we go in for the kill. We're just straight, simple, straight to the point. No lock-in contracts. If it works, mint, you'll stay with us. If it doesn't, 30 days and you can be gone.
So is it a bit like a tender? Are you tendering for the contract with other agencies? Are they are these brands speaking to multiple agencies at the same time?
Yeah, it's not as like an official as like a tender
Yeah.
process. But yeah, pretty much they'll be sort of on the playing field, like looking for different agencies, speaking to different people. Yeah.
I think you've got to be really good, but also likable as well, haven't you, for them to choose you?
Yeah, I don't want to sort of come across like that and be like, oh yeah, because I'm really likable as well. But I do think relationship building is like a big thing, and coming down to like something like I would hope that all of our clients could imagine coming for a few pints with me and the team, a few drinks, and having a good night, which we've done with a few of them. And that to me is like a testament to the relationship. Is that how well can you get on outside of a business professional environment? Do you know what I mean? And that's the thing that'll keep you locked in as well together, is that you build that personal connection and it runs deeper than just, oh yeah, these manage our ads.
Obviously, you won't have been cold calling these like you were doing in the start. So, like, how are these brands getting in touch with you? Like, why are they even thinking of CB Social and Carlton you?
I think there's a mix. So we still get a lot of referrals. We get like a lot of consultants who work with bigger brands who will pass it to us. But I think the byproduct of that almost is the LinkedIn. LinkedIn's been huge just for visibility, I think, and kind of positioning ourselves as like a leader in that particular area for social advertising and content. It's been monumental, to be fair. Like, I'd say 80% of anything that we get at the minute comes from LinkedIn.
Wow.
And it'll be just me posting different stuff. One day I'll post something about the fact I'm having a bit of family time here and there. The next day it's a case study. Next thing, something about the industry. I don't have a plan. I just kind of wake up, I think that'd be a decent post. I'll sort that. And
that's interesting.
Yeah.
To say there's no plan behind it.
It makes me wonder what would happen if I took it more seriously. Because I do take it seriously now, but if I put a plan in place, it'd be interesting to see whether it goes down or up. You know, whether it becomes less authentic and it turns into more of a sales channel, or do I keep it the way it is now because it's authentic and sometimes I might not post for a week, but then I'll come back and post every day. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. One thing I've never thought about there is the posting frequency. Do you think people pick up on that in terms of if someone sees someone like schedule, like not, yeah, like so let's say if someone's dropping posts that like say every day, do you think people think subconsciously, do they think, oh, that's planned out, it's not as authentic, even though the actual content might be authentic or good? Something I never thought about, actually, the actual frequency of...
I don't know if many people kind of like pick up on it, and I want to say it won't really affect the way that people engage with it, to be fair, as long as the content itself is authentic, like you said. Because at the minute, majority of the stuff I post is 8 a.m. every day, like, or every other day. That's kind of what I'll aim for. If I want to do a LinkedIn post, I'm thinking about it the night before. I'll write it out, schedule it for 8 o'clock in the morning the next day.
Ah, okay, yeah. So you're trying to do it daily?
Trying, yeah. But it ends up going like, I'll do 3 in a row. Then it'll be like 4 days with nothing. And then, it's Friday, I'll put a post on. Everyone loves a Friday post, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think consistency is a big thing, definitely.
Why haven't you went on to other channels and done the same thing, or have you? Like LinkedIn, like Instagram or Facebook or TikTok?
I think, I don't really know, to be fair, because we do basic coverage on Facebook and Instagram, of like what we're up to. But I think LinkedIn is the bigger opportunity for like organic stuff as well. So unless you're advertising on those platforms, your organic reach to the people who follow your page or like your page is minimal. It's like a bottleneck at the minute with Meta, and that's obviously, it's a pay to win game, isn't it? So whereas LinkedIn, organically, as people engage with your content and comment on it and stuff, it turns it into a bit of a snowball. So I think that's why for me, it was just a much easier one to kind of build from.
When this is a question that I generally want to know as well. So, when you're creating that LinkedIn content, do you think it gives that content more credibility that you're not posting that on other platforms and just keeping it sort of exclusive to LinkedIn? Because there'd be nothing stopping you from just copy and pasting that from LinkedIn onto Facebook, onto Instagram, would it?
Yeah, no, there wouldn't be anything that's stopping us really. But yeah, I think you raise a good point. Yeah, probably. It gives them more reason to stick on LinkedIn and keep following you there. Potentially bring people from other platforms and follow you on LinkedIn.
Because one thing I'm thinking, when I write a bit of content or whatever, I was like, well, I might as well just copy and paste it and put it across all platforms, Yeah. But that could be having a negative effect, maybe, because the content isn't exclusive to one platform, maybe.
Possibly, but then I guess you could argue, if you've got the time, write different posts for each platform, slightly alter it if you wanted to. But if you stopped putting something out on Instagram that was on LinkedIn, you're probably just building a brick wall for yourself, really, because you'll be hitting people on Instagram who are a little bit different versus LinkedIn. So I think until you've got the time or a team or a person to do it for you, you probably are best off just plastering it everywhere, just hitting all the different audiences, different levels.
Is that a direction you want to go in, or?
Not really. I think we're at a point now where we are like quality over quantity, so it's a bit like, of course we want new clients, but I'm not rushing to get them. I'm not like clutching at straws. I'm not grabbing everything we can. I'm kind of like cherry picking. So that's why I post out on LinkedIn. Sometimes we get some referrals that don't work for us. We'll pass them on. And then sometimes we get one that'll come along and it's like, bloody hell, that's a good one.
What is a good client then?
Good client is eCommerce. We do all kinds of work. We work with B2B and stuff as well, but bread and butter, eCommerce, doing between 5 and 10 million a year. And a bonus point if they're on Shopify as well, because it's just the best platform to work with.
What about like sub-sectors within that? Do you like working with...
Well, like within e-commerce?
Yeah.
I think the ones that we've kind of got into naturally are fashion, which isn't one that I would have originally went for, to be honest, but it's fashion, supplements, toys, and there's probably one more. I'm trying to think. There's one more there, I can't remember now. But that's kind of one of the three big industries for us at the minute.
What sort of budgets?
Anywhere from 2.5K to 100K plus a month. It ranges. Goes through different seasons as well.
Yeah. But the bigger the better for you guys, or is that not how it works?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bigger the better for us directly, because our fee goes up as you spend more. So it's a direct impact on the business, which is good. But better for them as well, because we can test more, find what works, we can scale faster, and they get more out of the platform. So definitely.
What are some of the results that you've had for clients where you've like, wow, we've smashed it there?
There's one in particular this year, which is a bit of like a crazy one, but it's a supplement brand called Orbis. Orbis Lifestyle, they're called. And they're based in Italy. So this one was quite a challenge because everything we designed, everything we wrote, copy, had to all be Italian. So we were using a mixture of Google Translate and their internal team to kind of like cross-reference what was right, what needed to be changed. So it's one that was like, doing ads is already difficult enough. Doing ads for a new brand, pretty tough because you've got no reputation. Translating everything you do, including designs, into Italian, when no one speaks Italian, is like an extra like stab in the back, really. It's like, bloody hell. But they, in January, were doing about, I think they were spending on ads about €500 a month, maybe. They were just dabbling in it internally. We took over from February, and within 6 months, they were doing 120K a month. And that was a mixture of, a big chunk of that was through the ads, and then they had like a bit of an influencer activation as well. So the combination of them, mainly the ads, got them to €120,000 a month. Nice. within 6 months.
What were they at before?
A few thousand. Yeah, so it completely transformed the business. And that's like testament to us for getting them to that point as well. But there's a lot of stuff that needed to happen with. They were doing a lot of great product development.
Yeah.
Like I said, they did work with an influencer to push a particular product. But yeah, the ads was like the real key builder in that. In helping them get out there, and now it's kind of just going up and up and up. He's like, how do we spend? He's a great guy. He's like literally one of our best clients in terms of just a human. He's like, how do we get to 100K a month spend so we can give you 10K a month and stuff like that? And I'm like, I don't know, but we'll get there. So yeah,
because you're reliant on that business running, aren't you, like properly, and all the other parts that go around it. So I don't think you can necessarily be praised fully for it, but you can't necessarily be blamed for it as well, can you?
Yeah, and there's always a balance. Like I'll always say, we played a part in it, and everyone's got the part to play, and as long as everyone connects up well and does it properly, then it'll grow. You can have the best marketing in the world, but if your product's shit, then it's not going to do anything.
So how many active clients do you have on at one time?
Between, I want to say about 12 and 15, roughly around that figure at the minute. I don't think I'd go over 20. I think that's when it started to get a little bit like... I remember at the old agency, they used to sell businesses in on days, so you get a day's worth of social media. And in their head, they were like, yeah, there's like 20 odd working days in a month, so each individual can manage at least 20 clients, which was just... Everyone was in tatters on reporting week. It was brutal. So I kind of learned from that and thought, well, why don't we just get better clients and bigger ones who pay us more, and therefore we could actually spread 15, 20 clients across 3 or 4 people.
Yeah, and then provide a better service and then better working environment, culture and stuff like that for you and, managing the staff.
Still really profitable as well for us as an agency to do that. So just made more sense.
Because obviously you started with doing anything for anyone at any price.
Yeah.
And now you're charging the same prices as some of the London agencies. So what was the mindset shift and journey that you had to go through to be able to do that? Because you could have done that in the beginning. Or you could have done that sooner in the journey.
Yeah. What, sooner as in going for the bigger clients?
Just having the confidence to do it.
Getting bigger businesses or the confidence to start the agency?
No, the pricing.
Yeah. I think the pricing came from the ability to deliver. It was like, right, that year one was like, right, if I can do this and get these on, then I can build some case studies. So like another thing on the phones, I was like offering people a month for free, like, which is just mad. But I was doing anything to get them on, do a bit of work for them, build a case study, then we move up a level. So we've kind of done that over the years, and we've probably had about 3 or 4 price increases since year one.
What are some of the horror stories that you've heard from clients who've come from maybe other agencies in terms of, they're not doing the job properly? Like, what does that look like?
Mad stuff. Like, there's agencies out there that are like probably really good at one thing, which is like what we are. We're good at what we know, but they know they can sell other stuff. And for some reason, social media advertising seems to be the thing that gets sold as like a bit of a bolt on. And you'll just get agencies charging them the same price they are to manage other channels and just not touching it. And you'll get some agencies that will create a business's ad account for them. And then when that business is unhappy and they want to leave and come to us, it's not a smooth transition because that agency actually holds the rights to their assets. And it's a business asset at the end of the day. If you sold your business, that ad account on Facebook is rightfully the business's, but it's owned by the agency. So we've seen a lot of stuff like that where it's just dirty tactics that, makes it more difficult for clients to leave certain agencies. Very easy for them to upsell it, not do a lot, make a good profit on it because there's no manpower needed to kind of manage it. And just a general shit job, really. People who sell the dream is a massive one. You say, oh, we're going to 10x your return on ad spend in a certain period of time. It's just it's a ballsy statement to make when you don't know. So, yeah, a lot of stuff.
Do you think, how important is it to be good at just one thing rather than offering everything?
Do you know, I don't know because I think there's a lot of businesses out there that like working with full service agencies who will do everything under one roof. They don't want to speak to like 4 different people and they just want everything done by one, individual company. And then there's some that do like the kind of boutique specialist agencies. I think it depends on the delivery of what you're good at. It's that whole thing of like, jack of all trades, like master of none. But sometimes that works. If you're a full service agency and you can build something that you do a good job in all areas, you probably will do really well. But they're far and few between.
Why haven't you done that?
I don't want that. I don't think.
I think that's super impressive that you can just say that I don't want it, because I know as an entrepreneur you try to do everything. You? But that focus is so important. Yeah,
honestly, it does. Like, it gives me quivers thinking about the additional revenue that is sat there. If we said, "Hey, can we do your email stuff, or can we do a bit of Google?" But I think it comes down to us as a business. Like, when I go to bed at night, every single person I've sold to, every single person we work with, knows exactly what I've sold them, knows exactly what they're going to get out of us. They trust us, like true, actual friendships and stuff. Do you know what I mean? I think that runs deep in what we do. So it'd feel wrong for me to be like, I reckon we could sell these Google, just for the crack. It'll be an extra $1,000 a month. No problem. We'll have a little go at it. Do you know what I mean? It's like that sort of approach. I want to just get our teeth into an account, and just smash it. And then be like, yeah, if you need social, it's these. And that's the other thing, like, what I want people to think is think of like anything to do with like social media ads or content, CB social, straight away. Like, and I think as a full service agency, it gets diluted, because what are you like a true expert in? What's your main offering? And I just want to be that sort of small, tight-knit, like, specialist team of, like, well, if you need social, you have to go here. If you don't speak to these, you're an idiot. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what my thought process is behind it, really.
I think that's very impressive. Because I think it shows a lot of discipline as well. So yeah, fair play. So are you building this to sell?
I don't know what I'm doing yet, to be honest. I've never had this conversation. Do you know what? CB Social is the most profitable business I will ever have, because it doesn't get much more profitable than, you know, selling services, really, because you're selling time. So selling it is a bit of a tricky one, especially because I'm so involved in it as well. I've never really thought about it, and I think if I was going to sell it, I'd need to do a few years of prep to get it there. And do I want to do that as well? Does someone want to buy like a small, tight-knit sort of agency with a small team? Quite a lot of the time, buyers will be going for like the volume of like, oh, they've got, you know, 100 clients, they've got a team ready to manage it. The managing director comes in one day a week, pick up his post, and then does one. That's a mint business will take it. I just don't think CB Social's ever going to be like that. So I'm not sure. I would with the controller stuff though. Yeah. The e-commerce brand, that's going to be built to sell. I think it is anyway. I haven't even spoken to Brandon about that, but I know he would.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so we started our own e-commerce brand on the side, which was a mixture of a side hustle and dream that I had with my sort of childhood best mate, Brandon, but also a bit of a thing of like, well, if I'm managing ads for people, e-commerce brands, can I do it myself and build a business? And so we modify PlayStation and Xbox controllers, give them additional features, make them look different and stuff like that. It's already out there on the market, but we wanted to come at it a bit different, multiple price points, bit of a story with the founders and stuff, which there's not a lot of competitors as well. So we thought we could probably take a good market share here and either be swallowed up by the big dogs for a nice sum, or just crack on and make a profitable business and do something we're passionate about in gaming. And yeah, it's just suddenly gone mental.
That's it.
We had like one video last year that went viral on TikTok that got about 3 million views, and it made us about 50 sales, and that was our biggest month last year in November. So we were buzzing with that, and we were like, how can we build this? And my thing this year has been like, how do we make this not reliant on a viral video? Because that's not a sustainable business model. And obviously the answer to that was ads. It was a lot of product development, a lot of development on the website and stuff, and then ads was the key. Those were the key 3 players. And then this year, that'll also do 100K, which is just mad. But it's a total different ball game. That profitability is different. To this date, we've still not took a penny from it because absolutely everything's being reinvested. So it is one of those that like we're building with the vision of this in about 5 years' time. It'll be a multi-million-pound brand that will operate profitably and be nice, or it will be swallowed up and we'll sell it.
What was the journey like starting that business? Because it wouldn't have been easy.
No, it's just scrappy. Because we had to source lots of different parts to develop the controllers. We went from buying, like, we put like paddles on the back of them. It emulates an existing brand out there called Scuff, which I think like a fair few people might know of, Scuff controllers. And we were like, how do we get paddles that are like different and stuff? We went through a whole design process with different people. We spent thousands on it, to be fair. But it was really scrappy. Our first product, we've still got it up in the office. I'm going to get them all like put in like boxes of the evolution of it. But it was brutal. I wouldn't sell the first product that we developed now. Like, definitely not.
What are your roles within the business? Because you're doing it with your best friend and partner Brandon.
Yeah. So the main roles really are, I'm on the kind of web. I'm like the digital side, web stuff, design, marketing, branding as well. Brandon's very much like, he has a say in all of that and will be involved in all that as well. But Brandon brought the product to life. It was a good match because we're obviously best mates, but it was one of those things where the business wouldn't have launched without one another. I couldn't launch because I wouldn't have had a product, and Brandon couldn't have got the product out there without me. Do you know what I mean? So it was a natural playing to your strengths thing and filling the gaps. But Brandon's shit hot on the product development side. So he pretty much made what we have. He sourced all the parts from different countries like America, China, all that sort of stuff.
But that'd be really difficult, to be fair.
It's just long, just long. You have to do research. I remember at one point that Sony actually changed the internal boards of the controllers, and obviously we didn't know. We just bought a load of parts from China, and then none of it fit. And we were like, fuck, we've got about 20 orders to get out here and don't know what to do. We had to refund them all, every order. And obviously we'd already paid for stock as well.
Yeah.
So I ended up putting money into it to afford refunds.
Wow.
Because we'd spent that money on stock to fulfill the orders. There's just like, I have this conversation with them a lot, but there are so many times we should have stopped. There's so many times we should have just hung up, the hat and coat and just called it a day. But I don't know why we didn't but obviously we're here now still. So this will be the biggest year yet. And then who knows what will happen next year when I get it out to like America and stuff. That's the other thing, like market wise, we're going to do 100k this year. We've only ever really done ads in the UK. We haven't touched Europe. We haven't done anything in US. Nothing in like Dubai yet as well, which is becoming a big esports scene. So
I think I've seen some influencers as well with the brand as well now.
Yeah, we've got some creators on board. There's a couple of big ones like in their own rights, like that have built their own audiences on TikTok and stuff. We've got other sort of legacy ones like George Sampson, who's like a bit of a British legend, I think, amongst like people our age. Everyone knows him from like winning Britain's Got Talent and stuff. But yeah, that's starting to get picked up now and be a bit of a additional revenue driver on top of what I'm doing.
Is any organic sales coming through yet, or is it reliant on ads?
It's ads. We might get a few things that are word of mouth, but we're not really. This is the thing with that business is like it's still very scrappy. Like I do wonder what would happen when it gets the full attention that it needs. I think it would grow faster and grow a lot bigger, but it can only grow with the time that we give it at the minute. And at the minute, that's spent on scrambling to get orders out the door, pretty much. Yeah. So there's a lot of development to be done there, and potentially investment at some point, maybe. I'm just not sure.
Yeah.
We're just kind of going with it, just seeing where it takes us.
Yeah. Is it enjoyable?
Yeah. It's stressful, don't get me wrong, a lot more stressful than the agency. Because the agency, we build relationships with the clients, and something goes wrong, we have conversations, we can sort stuff out. With e-commerce, it's different. Every customer who buys from us is different. Someone will be happy waiting 2 weeks, someone will be kicking off because they've been waiting for 2 days. It's just a total different ballgame.
Have you ever thought about doing, on a separate note, just like a cash and grab quick TikTok shop thing? Because obviously you probably have the skills and stuff to be able to do it if you sat down and really, put some effort into it.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of like one product Shopify sites at the minute. There'll be like you'll see like an ad and it'll be just one kid's product for Christmas or something. And it's just a Shopify site with that product on. And I'm like, that'd be so easy to do. I bet the profit margin on it would be insane and you could scale the shit out of it straight away. But it's time. And I think maybe that comes down to like the CB social stuff of not wanting to do everything. Just want to do something that we're really good at. And I kind of want to build like a bit of a legacy, like a brand. So although you could make a lot of money from that, I don't know if I'd feel very fulfilled, to be honest. Just doing this little shitty one product that doesn't get remembered, but it's a Christmas stocking filler. Do you know what I mean? I don't know how I would feel about it.
How is CB social structured with the team members and your role and stuff like that?
So the hierarchy's strange because we're so small. Everyone's kind of on the same level. Like, I've got myself, who's like one of the directors. Beth, my fiance, is another, the second director, so we're 50-50. And then we've got Ashley, who's my cousin as well, and she's sort of like our paid social manager. She came in with like no knowledge, did a crash course on ads, said, "Oh, can I do a bit of free work for you?" And I was like, "Yeah, cool." And now she's like full-time.
Oh, that's class.
Sort of like, freelancing, class. Yeah. So proper family business. And then we've got other work that we do with people that we kind of just bring in here and there for content and stuff. So we've got a content creator with us at the minute who's really good, and she's cracking on. And then, I think I'm learning to build like slowly. Don't want to be jumping into sort of giving jobs out to people and then, things change. So it's just riding the waves, really.
Have you had any problems with staff, or has it been quite smooth sailing?
It's been pretty smooth sailing, to be honest. Like we had an apprentice with us as well, and then at the end we kind of let her crack on with different ventures, you know, with a balance of it being like good for her to crack on and get more experience in the industry that she needed. And it probably wasn't the best fit, really, in terms of what she was doing, the work. I think she liked certain parts of it, but not the advertising side, and that's such a big part for us. So it didn't really make sense to continue it from there. But there's never been, like, any problems, really.
What about it didn't she like about the ad side?
I don't know. I think it's, like, personal preference. And that's another thing that we discussed, like, hiring process beyond this now. And it's like, someone that we hire has got to have an eye for it. Like, that's what we say, an eye for it.
Do you think it's because it's quite analytical or technical rather than being like the creative side of it? Do you think that's...
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it does take a lot of that side to understand the numbers. And much deeper than just looking at a table of numbers. You've got to understand, like, the cogs of a business. You've got to understand how do we make this profitable, you know, cost per acquisition, all that stuff. So it does get a little bit technical, a little bit, you know, reporting heavy. So yeah, I reckon that could have played a part in it, definitely.
Do you have any ambitions to get more apprentices in? Is that the route you want to go down, or?
I think as a learning curve, maybe. It would depend on them as an individual, I think. I think for us, really, the next step is to get people who've got experience from agencies and get them in with us, teach them our ways, and then hopefully give them a bit of a better working environment and culture and, you know, businesses that they work with and opportunities and stuff that they might not get at larger agencies, or that would take them a lot of time to get to that point. So that's probably the next step for us. I don't know when that'll be, but all I know is I'm not rushing into it. Just
yeah,
yet.
don't do it, mate. It sounds like you've got quite a nice balance at the moment, especially with your controller business as well. It would probably take time, maybe, that you want to spend on that away from, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I've spoke to, like, a lot of people that have their own agencies that are much bigger than ours in terms of, you know, headcount. And, like, I've always questioned, like, what do I want to build? And it's like, I used to think, oh, I want like a big agency, I want a big office, I want this and that, and that's going to be, you know, that's going to show that I'm successful. But in reality, it's like, there'll be small agencies out there that are making more profit than an agency with 80 people. And it's like, what do you want to build? And at the end of the day, for me, it's like, I want to be able to take as much money home as possible to use that as the key to open different doors, like family holidays, the stuff that we want, live comfortably, you know, that sort of stuff. So I changed it in my mind. It's like, we don't want to be the biggest agency, I want to be the best, which is, again, that reason of, like, it's just social media, just paid social. That's it.
I think that's impressive. Do you have any advice for anyone starting out?
Yeah, the thing I get asked a lot is, like, you know, like, people have, like, come through from TikTok and they're like, oh, I've got this idea, I don't know whether to do this or I don't know whether to do that. And it's that, like, decision paralysis that they get. And it's like, I think a lot of people need to take action. I think I actually put that in a LinkedIn post this morning. But it's taking action. The two main things is taking action, so doing stuff. Instead of dilemma, like, do I need the logo first or do the website? Just do one. Yeah. Do something. Yeah. If you don't have a logo, that's fine. Like, if you don't have a website, don't worry. It's like, what you've got to do is sell something, is get money coming through the door. So how do you get to that point? And the worst thing is, like, I definitely don't mind, and I promote people, like, reading books and listening to podcasts and stuff, but that also, for me, plays a part in that decision paralysis where it's like, I've read 10 books this year on, like, business and all this, and I'd be like, well, what have you done with that advice then? Have you took action on it? So that's one thing. The second thing is probably changing your relationship with the way you see losses. People get disheartened, maybe take it personal when something doesn't go their way, something goes wrong, they make a mistake. I think people get hepped up on it and will dwell on it and stuff, but changing your relationship with the way that you take losses, I think, is important, because that's a part of that resilience that'll come and play a part in the growth. Because in year one, the amount of L's that I took with doors closing and not getting any clients, making $5,000 less. Like everything on paper was telling me to pack this in and go and get a job. So it was me changing that of thinking, you know what, this is part of the process. And a bit of a daft thing of like thinking, that's all right, because all these things that went wrong, that's what I'm going to talk about on a podcast or when I go to a conference and talk about the business. So I envisioned all that and just put it in a little bubble and thought, yeah, I'll talk about that later down the line. That's what I'm doing right now.
Class.
Yeah.
Class. Do you have a mentor who you look up to or work closely with who can give you that bit of advice, or is that just something you've developed yourself?
I think I don't know. It's something that I've just absorbed from videos, like podcasts, audio books, and like probably other people on LinkedIn as well who are kind of like leading the way. I think I do need a mentor at some point, like, but I've never really crossed that path yet.
What do you think you would need him for?
Accountability. I'm very good at knowing there's a problem there and not fixing it because I'm so fixated on doing something else. Like, oh, well, that needs sorting, but it's all right because I need to get 2 new clients here, so I'm going to work on this instead. So, you know, stuff like that. You know, I hate, like, tax returns and stuff. I'm terrible at stuff like that. Yeah, really bad. I will park something until, like, I get a letter through the door. Do you know what I mean? Which is a bad trait. Like, I don't know what causes that, really. It's that ignorance is bliss until it becomes, like, an issue.
Yeah, 100%. You've also got a profitable business now, which is your fast pound. Are you doing anything to investment-wise to build that pension pot, the long-term wealth?
I've got... do you know what? I'm terrible at investing. I do want to spend more time learning about it, to be fair. I've got a Hargreaves and Lansdowne account, and I basically just copied all of the trades that my fiance's dad did, and I just keep putting money into that, really, as a long-term compound kind of thing over time. I'm just going to keep putting money into it, and I won't look at it for another 10 years. More so for the kids. I want the same thing for the kids. So, like, could be putting a lot into ours, but I want to split it into theirs. I want, like, 3 separate pots for them. But, like, investment ones, like, I don't even know the different ones, really. I need to do more research on it, but different ISAs or whatever for them, just to build over time.
Any property stuff?
Nothing yet.
Is it something you want to do? Or?
I don't know. I think I would enjoy the process. You might say otherwise because you've seen all the ins and outs of it, but I don't know. I would never say never.
I think if you've got cash there, it's probably a good thing to do. But if it comes at the detriment of growing your actual business, I would probably say wait.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
You want to get this like to the most best it can be.
Yeah.
And then start parking stuff in stuff, because the more money you have in property, the better, because you can buy bigger trophy assets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a nice commercial building.
Yeah,
rather
yeah.
than just a TS1 property.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know? So if you can buy them nice commercial buildings, yeah, it's a lot better.
Student accommodation sounds nice. Feel like that sounds like a good game. You might say otherwise again, but
yeah, I think it's a bit saturated, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had a landlord last night message me saying he can't fill his rooms.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Just refurbed, en suites, good standard.
Nightmare.
Can't fill his rooms.
I've always thought that's quite like maybe you need to pick a good spot for it in a good location, but I've always thought that's a thing that'll just get lapped up every year. But obviously, not the case.
No, I think in terms of marketing, it's really nice. You know, to market it. You make 40 grand off a 60 grand property. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, yeah.
But the realities of it's really difficult.
Yeah, I think it'd come later down the line when, like you said, you've got, you're very sort of like cash rich. You've got a lot of like liquid cash just laying about, and you just want to make more money for now while it's sat there.
Yeah, I think that's what I learned, and this is why I like this name, because I think property can be looked at as fast pound, where it's not. It really is slow pound. That's where you see the real benefits of it, because you might make 200-300 quid off a buy to let, right? But as soon as something goes wrong, it could wipe out a year or two's profit.
That's true. Yeah, yeah.
So you're much better focusing on actual running a trade in business and learning an actual skill if you want to be doing something like full time, and literally just using property as your pension, where you
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I've never thought of it that way. I've always thought of it a bit like fast, like you can like flip this, get it, refurb it, flip it, done.
Yeah, you can, but it definitely can be done. It's just not as easy to do that. You know, you still need to be really focused on it full time to do that sort of thing. And to do that consistently as well, you need a pipeline, and you need money, and you need finance, and things can go wrong and stuff like that. Yeah. What's the plan for the next sort of 6 to 12 months for CB?
Bigger brands, bigger budgets from clients, maybe a little bit of internal growth, but just staying on the ball, on the pulse with it really, and just delivering a good service for our existing clients and picking up a few new ones, a few new big brands hopefully. What's
the plan to attract them bigger brands with bigger budgets?
We're doing like a little bit of outreach ourselves, like a conversation starters that we're going to kind of send to people, get conversations going, but mainly still LinkedIn. Kind of letting it come to us, which is probably not the best strategy, but we're not going to start cold calling, dropping 10,000 emails around and hoping for the best. I think we're...
Do you think that's just not your style?
Yeah, I think it's a mix of not my style and like I kind of look down on it. You know, when I get emails, I'm like, I hate this. It just looks crap. And it works for some people, so I can't deny that it's working. Do you know what I mean? But I think for us, it's not the way to go. As a brand, as an agency, we're different. I want people to come to us. I want them to be like, I can't go anywhere else. I've got to try these. And that's kind of where I'm building something for them to come to us rather than peppering it out everywhere for anyone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Different conversation when people come to you, isn't it? It's like they're already sold.
That's it. And again, if it's like a referral, it's like you're on good terms, you trust it already. You just need to say the right things and then do the right things, which is what we've been doing so far. We just need to do that for bigger brands, which is coming. We've got a few in the works, so we're just waiting for people to put pen to paper and stuff.
Exciting. What about the controller brand?
Yeah, that's... we're just going to keep building it for now, keep developing the product itself. We may seek investment at some point, but it would need to be the right person. The business can sustain itself, so we're not desperate for cash. We're desperate for someone to open doors for us. But honestly, the thoughts behind that and the potential is crazy.
Two different businesses, aren't they? Like, you know, one can be nice boutique lifestyle, and the other one can be... You probably could send loads of cold DMs out on that one, you know, for argument's sake.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't feel like as you would... I don't know, I guess.
Yeah, no, we actually did that, to be fair, to get a lot of the creators. You know, we just started firing DMs out and stuff, just saying, do you want to work with us? And just got them on a phone call.
But you wouldn't do that for CB?
No. I don't know why. I put ourselves out there and then they'll come to us.
Yeah, I get it, but I get it.
Yeah.
I think it's impressive just to have that discipline to know actually what it is that you actually want and just stay focused on it.
It took us a while to get here, though. I obviously didn't know that from day one. I think that's like important for people to know, is that it's going to be scrappy for a few years, and you're just going to be clutching at straws and taking whatever you can. But then you do get to a point where you're like, actually, could take that for 800 quid a month, but it's not really what I want to do anymore, so I'm going to say no. And to leave that money on the table, hoping that the next opportunity is going to come along, that's quite a big thing. So we're lucky enough to be in a position like that. But yeah, it is hard. It takes a while to get there. It has for us anyway, personally.
Yeah. So where do you want to take the control? Just keep growing that, find the right person to come on board. What does that person actually look like then? If you could call out your ideal investor.
They're either someone in the gaming industry who's worked with a lot of different brands that have grown in the gaming industry, so they've got doors there to knock on, or like an investor in that industry as well and their experience. But it's genuinely the doors that need to be opened for us into events, markets, teams, like stuff like that. So someone could drop 50 to 100k on the business tomorrow, but we probably wouldn't take it if you couldn't open doors for us. Music industry as well, something that I want to look at a bit more closely. The bridging the gap between music and gaming. There's a lot of music artists play games, and a lot of music artists have a really good, strong audience, and you see them getting involved a lot in like clothing collaborations and stuff like that, because them two industries match. I don't really feel like anyone's really bridged that gap properly between gaming and music. So I think the controllers would play a nice part in that, but it's just facilitating it. But yeah, I want to get it to, doing like 100 grand a month, and then just see what happens. See who knocks on our door after that.
Yeah.
It's one of the big boys who wants to swallow.
Then we'll come at you again.
Well, that's it. Yeah, see this what we're doing. We're building, and they come to us, and then yeah, hopefully someone swallows us up for like a few million each. Me and Brandon, and we'll ride off into the sunset.
What would you do with a few million? Because you've got a really nice lifestyle as it is now, haven't you? Like, you put on that, you're driving, your dream car, and you're driving your dream house. You've got a beautiful family. What do you do with a few mil?
Yeah, do you know what? I think I set my expectations low. So I am driving like my dream car, what used to be. The dream's probably different now. So I think I'd upgrade the car. But I'm trying to learn to not be too materialistic. So I'd be quite restrictive with it. I wouldn't be looking to sort of be splashing out loads of money. I think I'd treat myself on one thing for spending so many years building the business and not taking a lot. And the other thing would be experiences, like for the kids. Like, even now, like at the minute, I want us to be going to like New York once a year, because that was just the place we all loved, and get the kids there once a year, and that's part of their thing. I mean, I went on holiday once until I was about 23-year-old. So I only left the country once. So that's a big thing for me, to get them to experience the world. Probably use it, retain some of it for investment, see what's next. I'd be bored if I sold it and wasn't doing anything. So I'd be like, what's next? What business can I get involved with? So I think that's what it'd be. Nice little treat for me, experiences for the family, and yeah, investments. Maybe a gaff. Yeah. To an investment one. That's definitely my slow pound.
Yeah, good stuff, mate. Well, if anyone wants to get in touch with you, Cal, how can they?
LinkedIn's the best place, as always. Just Callum Devine. The website cbsocial.co.uk if anyone wants to have a little look around.
What type of clients do you want? Just so.
Do you know what, right? Like I say, e-commerce, it's anyone who's got something good to sell. If it's B2B, if you've got a service that you are good at selling at, then we could sell it more, and we could get more people to buy it from you. If you've got a product that you're selling and it's e-commerce and it's good, and you've got a good shopping experience, we can help more people buy it.
Ideally over 5 mil revenue?
Ideally, yeah. We'd consider other ones if we think the product is good, or the team are good and they've got potential and we see it going there. But ideally, for the budgets we need, 5 to 10 mil a year.
What does the initial process look like for that business? Like, what can they expect from point of contact right the way through to working with you?
Usually we get straight on a call. So we'll have a little chat about what their experience is. Have they done ads before? Have they not? Why do they want to do ads? What are your goals? We'll find out a few things about like profitability and stuff, which will give us the idea of what our strategy needs to be. They get a deck. We piece together what that strategy looks like. A few design examples in-house of what the ads could look like as well. And then they give us a green light, or they wait on it, or they don't come on. And
then managing that monthly, checking in with them.
Yeah, if it's a green light, they get access to their data 24/7 through like a live report. They'll chat with us probably bi-weekly on a call, just to keep everyone in line, making sure we're doing what everyone should be doing. And then we're just aiming to grow the business. We're testing lots of different styles of content and finding out what converts the most at the most profitable level. And essentially, is the channel bringing in new customers? Because that's the important thing. Nurture the existing ones a little bit, that sort of low-hanging fruit for repeat purchases. But then we need new customers to grow a business. So that's kind of what we'll be measuring.
How much have you spent on Facebook ads?
Bloody hell. I hate to think. Must be like over like the 5-year period. It's got to be over like 20 million. It's got to be. Something like that.
You learn a few things, obviously, from spending that amount of money, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
And that's the key as well, is that like, because we're not diluted over loads, and like we spend just a couple of grand a month on a few clients or whatever, we've spent so much of other people's money on other content that then gets fed into what we're doing for other businesses as well. So I'll have to calculate that actually somehow.
It's a good total spend. It's a good hook, good headline to try some content with.
Yeah, it is. Usually I just go with we spend millions, because we definitely do. But I don't know what the total figure is.
Just finally, before we end, what do people not understand with Facebook ads? Like, what do you wish they knew before they come to you? or you wish they knew so it would just help them on their journey?
That it's a slow pound, not a fast pound. It's not an overnight thing. Like, you've got to test stuff to make it work and find what works, and then you scale. So I think a lot of people misunderstand the platform and think I'm going to turn ads on and it'll be like a tap and then the revenue starts, and that's not always the case. So it needs to be looked at like an investment over time. You know, you want to be giving it 3 to 6 months. You want to be testing lots of things, trying lots of different tactics and stuff, different ad formats and styles. But yeah, the fact that it's not overnight and there's no promises, no one can promise you anything. That's the things I think that people get confused with.
Amazing. Thanks so much for coming on, Cal.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers, bro.
Nice one.